Well, it's time now for perspective, and we're going to be sticking with that presidential debate less than 2 weeks before the US heads to the polls. My guest today is Timothy Lynch, Professor of American Politics at the University of Melbourne. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to us here on France 24 today. Now, Biden is ahead of Trump in all major polls, with just a week and a half to go before Election Day. Do you think Trump's performance in this debate will do anything to change that?
Well, it hasn't harmed his chances. I think at best, if you're a Trump supporter, it's given him some foundation for a possible recovery. He's left it late, of course. He should have struck this demeanour, this style in the first debate. So no, I think the numbers have been so robust in favour of Biden for so long that it seems to me that people have made up their minds about Trump and indeed about Biden. And there's not an awful lot that Trump could do between now and November 3rd to change that.
And in your opinion, were there any big surprises on Thursday night?
No, unless one is surprised by Trump's ability to change his tone. And we certainly saw that, but that was widely expected. He couldn't have upped the rhetoric and the heat any more from the first debate. So in his moments, he can be a political realist, and he does want to win, I think. And he took advice and he adapted accordingly. So he got a much slower, cooler, still authentically Trump. I mean, I think when he loses discipline, as he did on occasion today, you saw the man that both inspires love and hatred reappear. But I think it was a solid enough performance, but way too late, I think, to make any difference. Though there are a lot of people out there that have an affection for him, that may have been more motivated to tell their friends and family to get out for Trump. But I just don't think there are enough of those people to get him over the line a second time.
Now, the format of this debate was markedly different from what we saw in the first debate, widely criticised as being chaotic, shambolic, aggressive even. Did the new format, the moderator's ability to mute their microphones, did that new format favour either of the candidates in particular, do you think?
I don't believe so, no. I think, if anything, it gave Trump a certain discipline. He's always stronger, I think, when he lets Biden talk. Unfortunately, but what Biden said today, most of it made sense. He didn't have the cognitive dissonance that Trump has often accused him of. But that added discipline and a very good moderator. I think if anyone won the debate, it was her. It meant that Trump had to stay on message and stay within certain diplomatic boundaries. And that served him pretty well last night. I still think it was a draw. I don't think he landed a decisive blow on Biden and vice versa. But possibly we don't have the opportunity now for a third debate because that second one was lost. But I do think that the greater discipline in that format actually gave us a bit more light, bit more substance, and allowed us to see two men debating the issues without descending into vitriol and name calling. So yes, it was a victory for the new format and for the moderator.
Now, in recent days, Donald Trump has been trying very hard to tarnish Biden with allegations around Biden's son's business interests abroad. Is any of that sticking, do you think?
I think people have made up their minds. And if they think politicians are by nature corrupt and they're nepotistic of their very essence, then that was confirmed by in Trump's accusations against Biden. But it's a bit of the pot calling the kettle black here. And sceptical voters would hear in these charges laid by Trump a good deal of hypocrisy. I mean, he's nothing if not nepotistic, very invested in his family doing well, has empowered his family members in his administration. So I'm not sure there's an obvious advantage that he got from trying to paint the Biden family in similar terms.
Now, during this debate, Trump did defend his administration's separation of immigrant children from their parents along the US-Mexico border, some of whom remain separated from their parents. Tactically, was that the right move from Trump, do you think? Will that play well with his supporters?
Well, he's never lost ground by being hard on immigration. It's often said that when he was so vitriolic, racist, some people would say, towards Mexicans in 2016, he won votes for that authenticity. He was able to say the unsayable. So it's always been clear, I think, to him that the harder he runs on immigration, the more votes he wins than he loses. And he did, I suppose, to his strategic credit, he was able to say he wasn't doing anything much worse than the Obama administration was doing in terms of immigration. He's not the first president to impose immigration controls. He is the first person to posture on a kind of America first rationale for doing so. So I think that was, again, an instance where both candidates cancelled each other out.
And what about the issue of race? That proved quite a hot button issue between Biden and Trump on Thursday.
Yes, again, I think the caricature of Trump as a knee-jerk racist, that some of that was in evidence. I mean, there's a casualness, I think, to the issue of race. I've heard it said he's not an ideological racist. I mean, he doesn't believe in these notions of racial categories. He's just a bit careless, so he's able to alienate easily, indulge politically incorrect language without much forethought. And we saw that again yesterday. It's all part of Trump's authenticity shtick, that I can talk about race in a way that no other politician can. But perhaps I'm being naive here, but I think he's naive in his treatment of race relations in the US. He doesn't see how riven that system has been across its history by racial politics, which is why he can say with some seriousness that he's almost as good as Abraham Lincoln in terms of his achievements on race. I mean, that does raise a certain skepticism. But did he come across as malignant and malign and racist in a kind of KKK sense? No, I don't think he did. But he came across as naive, and I think Biden did succeed in exploiting that to some extent.
Now, Biden is, of course, a little older than Trump, two men in their 70s running for the top job. Did he come across as strong, presidential, capable?
Well, I don't think he made an error. He didn't have a senior moment of any note in the debate. I think both men occasionally display their age. I mean, they're the two oldest contenders we've seen running for the office. Biden is the oldest. So I think, given that the low expectations we had of this performance, that their age, actually, they defied it more than they confirmed it in the debate yesterday. I think I was struck by how Trump didn't go after Biden in quite the same personal way. I know he attacked the business connections and his son's nefarious Ukrainian connections, but he didn't go after him in a way he did very crudely in the first debate by calling him stupid or graduating last in his class. So if that was a win for the elevation of political discourse, I'll take that.
Timothy Lynch, Professor of American Politics at the University of Melbourne, thank you very much for speaking to us on France 24.
Thank you.